Therapy Talk Thursdays with EYPC. My name is Terrence Jones. I'm the regional director of this wonderful organization. We've got with us the CEO and owner, Mrs. Tawanda Darden, in the house. And we also got a special guest, one of our very own. She works in so many programs with our marketing team, helps with some of our crisis efforts. Peer recovery specialist, Tiffany Edwards. We got her in the house. And we've got a really good conversation because we're going to talk about something that is affecting so many families in our community. We always know about the brothers and the sisters when they go away, they got to do a little bit of time. But a lot of times people forget that that time does not stop and people come back home. And then are they prepared to get back in society? Is their family prepared to receive them? What's available to them? We're talking about all that today because, and I'm not going to steal her thunder, but Tiffany has some great experience in this very topic on both sides of the game. And you definitely got to check this out and hear this this interview. But before we get into that, please make sure that you mark this down. Go to EY4PC.com so you can check out everything that we have going on at EYPC, the services that we provide and how we can help you and or your community. Or you can give us a call at 804-789-1314. And if you have a crisis going on right now, hang up, get off this because we'll be here, and go ahead and call 988 so you can handle that crisis. When that's done, you can come back and check out our interview. But I want to just give everybody a chance to say what's up. Let's start. Dr. Wells then crept in. I didn't see that while I was talking. What's going on, Dr. Wells? How you doing, brother?
What's going on? How you doing? Just engineering in the background.
Engineering in the background. He is the only person in America to be in the background and on camera at the very same time. You a bad brother. and we got the newest vocalist on the scene.
Don't start.
One of them bust for some vocals. How you doing today, Ms. Darden? You doing all right?
I am well. Thank you for asking. How y'all doing today?
Excellent.
Doing well.
As you always ask everybody how they're doing, but we always never ask you how you're doing. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Look, it's sunny. I like the warm weather, but dang, it's October. I'm ready to bust out a sheep jean jacket or something. You know what I'm saying?
The feather goose coat.
I break out a triple fat goose for real. I would. Let me find one. I would rock it.
We know that, Terrence. We are very aware that you will rock it.
I'm about to bust out the yellow AV. Wait till I get the yellow AV ready. They ain't ready.
They ain't ready. Listen, he has a style of his own, y'all. And always gonna show out. You better believe that.
I'm gonna do that. But look, let's get to our guest here. Tiffany, we're so happy to have you. Glad that that you were able to survive and have a testimony and a story, and then that you are willing to share with us your story. So before we get into what we want to talk about, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to know you. So just give us a little bit about yourself, Tiff. Give us your background. Let the people know who Tiffany Edwards is.
All right. First of all, I want to say hello to everyone, to all the viewers. Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Edwards. Yes, I am a peer recovery specialist. I am also a certified substance abuse counseling assistant. I do want to apologize. There's going to be a delay. There may be some movement with me and my camera. I'm telling you, I'm over here struggling today, so just work with me. But, I want to say hello to all the viewers. And yes, I want to give you a brief, give you some of my testimony. I was indicted in 2008. I was charged with conspiracy to possess and distribute heroin and marijuana. I was convicted and sentenced to 78 months in federal prison. I did my time only with God, by the grace of God. I was able to do my time. And here I am, right? So I was released in 2014. And it's really been up since then. I had a son in 2015, and I went to school. I've gained some degrees, some certifications since I've been home. I had some family support, lots of support from my family. And without that support, I don't think I would be where I am today. Along my journey, I have met some wonderful people. back in 2000 and I think it was 21, guys, when I came in contact with Terrence. I was doing hair at a shop over on the north side, and I came in contact with Terrence, and there was an opportunity to come and be a part of EYPC. And that's where I've been since then. Wonderful, wonderful people, more like family. And I've been given opportunities here and grown exponentially since I've been here. So just a great place to be. And I've done a lot since I've been home. So I want to encourage those who are maybe going through a similar situation or who have been to not give up and to know that you can do anything that you strive to do, anything that you put your mind to.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
Very
and
incredible.
I just want to take my hat off to you because no time in incarceration, state, local, federal, is easy. And to come out of that and with that type of foresight that you have for the future is just really, really great. And it's inspiring. You were with us when the Commonwealth decided to release a lot of individuals serving time into the community. And a lot of mental health organizations, a lot of community service organizations, we're just all wrapping our minds around how we would be able to support these individuals when they came home. And then you were in the thick of that. And I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like you could identify from a very intimate level because you once were that person. And now you're on the side of helping people make that transition. So that's a really, really great thing. Let me ask you this, though. So obviously, you got your time and you knew that you had a date. So many people, when they come home, to no fault of their own or whatever it is, they might not have a plan of what, day one is going to look like, month one is going to look like, year one is going to look like, how they see themselves, or what their end game is and how they're going to get to that end game. So can you talk to us a little bit about what were those last days in? What type of planning did you do? How did you connect with people? What did you do when you knew you were coming home? How did you plan for your return?
Well, I can say that planning, there's a lot of dreaming that happens in prison, right? Because you can use the phone, like in the federal system, you can use the phone for 300 minutes a month. Think about that in comparison to how often you pick up your cell phone and you call people. So for 300 minutes a month, you were able to make contact with your family, your friends, for a lot of the women in there, their children. And so with limited resources, there's a library. You don't have access to computers because, of course, they don't want you to be able to, connect with all kinds of things that you could on the outside. So there's no computer access. There's some outdated books that maybe you can kind of go and research maybe some ideas of things that you may want to do. Mm-hmm. But, your family can send things in. But for the most part, there's not planning to the level that you're able to do when you're out in, as we would call it, the free world. So not too much planning, more so dreaming. And when you get home, you can take those dreams that you had and kind of make them into a reality and just, as we would say, hit the ground moving. And really get started and get going on some of those things that you have dreamt about when you're in prison. You do a lot of dreaming in prison. Yeah, there's a lot of dreaming going on.
It is dreaming. You call it dreaming, but really, it's probably the birthing of your future. It's given to you, and it's a dream because you can visualize it. Like you said, you really can't put a lot of concrete things into it, but to me, it seems like if you're able to hold on to that dream to the point where you can get to those concrete things, then, like you said, you can hit the ground running. I think that's a good thing.
Now, for some individuals, there is like in the state prison system, I've learned since I've been here that you can do the PRS training in prison, right? So you can do that and you can bring that home. That wasn't available when I was in the federal system. But I know that there was GED. You could take your GED, and I know that is in the state and federal system where you can do your GED. So that kind of prepares you for, when you get home, that's something that you can start with. There are also some prisons where there are college courses offered. Some of the community colleges from the outside will kind of either come in or have virtual classes set up where you can take advantage of those. But for the most part, things are pretty much limited. So, you can put a lot of thoughts together. Some of those dreams that you've had, you can kind of pin them out and make them a reality once you get home. But there are some foundational things that you can do and put those things in place once you get out into the free world.
Yeah. What about the concept of, I've heard people come home say, your time is what you make it. Meaning that, if you want to get involved in the gambling, the drugs, the prostitution, the tribalism, you can do that. But if you want to spend time in the law library, in the chapel, getting your degree, getting to school, working a job, you can do that too. And those types of things can help you when you come home. What would you say about the concept of that?
I said that the concept of that is very true. I say that you do have the opportunity to. There's a lot of programming in prison where you can kind of work out. You can do workout classes. You can do other programming such as cosmetology, and like I said, you can do some of the college courses, your GED. You are able to take advantage of the chapel where you can get closer with your faith, or you can get caught up in all the things that kind of resemble what you did when you were at home. There's drugs on the compound. There are those who just kind of hanging out, not really doing anything. Now, I heard you mention prostitution. That might be something at another institution because I never heard of that before, where all the places that I've been to. But you can absolutely kind of get caught up in the riffraff that's going on the compound, or you can do something that will help you to lead a better life once you come home. So that's true.
Yeah, that's so important. Want to give a shout out. We got people checking in. What's up, Shayna? Melanie, how you doing? Vonda, what's going on? Thank you guys for coming in. Make sure you share this video. Share this video with somebody that you might need this. Tiff, answer this for me.
Sure.
What were some things that you might not have been prepared for when you came home?
I expected barriers, but I wasn't prepared to the degree of the barriers that you experience when you come home. There's been a lot of legal red tape that I've had to kind of cut through in order to be able to turn around and help those that are coming behind me. And I expected it, but not to the degree that it actually exists. And I totally wasn't prepared for that. I can say I've gotten used to it. In the beginning, it used to frustrate me so bad that I wanted to quit and I wanted to give up. And it almost makes me think that maybe the system is set up in that way to be discouraging to people, to get them to a place where they become so frustrated with the process that they give up. But I've kind of become accustomed to it now. I just feel like it's a part of the business. It's a part of the game. Just got to cut through it and keep going. But I did expect it, but not to the degree of what it is. It can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
That's good, Tiff. So I have a question. Tell me mentally, how were you able to become so mentally strong and determined once you came home from prison? Tell me what that looked like, because I think it's so important that our viewers understand what that process that you went through mentally, right? And how you were able to push your way through and become stronger once you got out, and how you didn't just take no for an answer, and how your resilience paid off. Talk to me about that.
So I can say that there was a lot of emotional instability when I came home, because I didn't know how to manage my emotions when it came to navigating not only the criminal justice system, because I still was a part of the criminal justice system when I came home, but I also had to just kind of navigate life, right? And so I had to learn, and a lot of those coping skills were learned on my own from the fact that I didn't like to be in a place of emotional instability. So it was just a matter of putting some effective coping strategies in place so that I wasn't all over the place, so that I was better able to manage so that I could function and be able to have a positive day or a positive week or a positive outcome versus a lot of the negativity that was coming from some of the emotional instability out of just frustration, and that was stewing into like anger and a lot of negative emotions. And so just learning how to cope and learning how to manage my emotions was very helpful for me. And I think also too, I pull from my responsibility of being a mother. That keeps me stable a lot too as well, because I know that not only am I responsible for myself and kind of standing in for myself, but I have to provide and cover my son as well. And so I can't be out here and be an unstable mess and just be all over the place and not being able to manage things, because not only is he's watching, but my behavior affects my ability to get things done for us. So, you know.
I like that, Tiff. You said a lot right there. Ooh, you unpacked that, sis. Thank you. So can you tell us some of the coping strategies that you were able to use to help you navigate through all of this? I think it's important to give us your top 3.
Yeah.
Okay. One of those coping strategies would probably be to find someone to talk to. A lot of times people like to bottle. And that's not a healthy way for me or anyone in that matter to cope, right? You need to find at least one person that you can vent to and that you can talk to and share your feelings and talk about what's going on. Boundaries was very important for me as well. I do have some unhealthy, I can't say it's an unhealthy relationship, but there are some unhealthy behaviors in relationships that I have with family. And so I had to put some healthy boundaries in place and learn how to kind of cut things on and off and know when to say no and know when to go, kind of thing. And also, another healthy coping strategy that I can say that I probably have is learning how to deal with people, right? Just not taking on their issues as my own and being able to kind of step back and be like, okay, that's them. That's not me. Just kind of look at it and move forward from there and not take people's things on as my own. So, and that was a huge problem for me. And I'm speaking more so, I kind of struggled in the relationship with my son's dad as far as us like co-parenting and stuff. I would become really frustrated with some of his choices and some of his behaviors, and I would take those things on as my own, and it would cause some emotional issues for me. And so when I was better able to deal with that, it helped me to be able to look at things in a more positive way and just be like, okay, that's him. That's not me. He's going to deal with it how he's going to deal with it, and just kind of keep moving forward, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And it's good.
It sounds like you had to put on a level of accountability. Yeah. Because all of what I hear you saying is, this is what I had to do for me, and maybe not necessarily by myself, because you had someone to talk to, but you were the one that said, okay, I got to grab this bull by the horns, and I got it. And because I'm sure, coming home after doing, you said 72 months?
72 months, yep.
Yeah, after doing 72 months, you do have the opportunity to play the blame game, because you're coming home, the world is a little different. Right. And, people have a very bad perception of people who have served time.
Right.
And you can point blame, but it doesn't sound like you willing to take on finger pointing. You say, you know what? There's some things I got to do. I'm going to work on me, and that's how I'm going to play this.
Yeah, that's good. The accountability, because it sounds like accountability to get to my stability, right? And you were willing to take no as an answer, because I still got to show up for this little person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I still got to be the best mama I can be. So I don't have time to make a bunch of excuses. I need to have a strategy plan, and I need to execute it to the fullest. So I not only survive, but now I'm thriving and surviving in every area of my life. And I like how you can just take those vulnerable moments, Tiffany. And I've been knowing her for a while, guys. And, we talk about everything. However, I appreciate the vulnerability that you have even encompassed with us, telling us your story. Even today, sharing and giving someone else a sense of hope that may have, you know, have an F on their report card, right? And they
Mhm.
feel like I can't do nothing. Like life is just life in, and I'm just in it, and I don't have no way to get out of it. And I like how you tell them, like, listen, put some boundaries in place. That's not,
Mhm.
you know, find that person to talk to. Get a therapist. If it ain't a therapist, get a coach. If it ain't a coach, go to your preacher, go to your mom, get someone that can trust, that's gonna edify you and build you up. So now you
Mhm.
see that there is still an exit strategy where you can be successful. And I also like learn to deal with people, not taking on everybody's mess, not
Mhm.
everybody else's way. That is so good right there.
Yeah.
Because if y'all listening, a lot of us, we got a tendency, whether we got, been in trouble before or not been in trouble before, we have a tendency of taking on everybody's stuff
Yeah.
and not putting boundaries in place, right?
Mhm.
Not talking to that one person. Then we find ourselves in isolating and being very, suicidal or depressed or in this dark space. So, Tiffany, I really appreciate that vulnerability moment and giving those that, whether they're going through, been through, or just having a day, that hope of just that, those 3 points. And I'm probably going to repeat that a lot. Find that person to talk to. It's so critical.
Mhm.
Have some healthy boundaries in place and stop taking on everybody's garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Tiff, how were you able then to enforce those boundaries? Because I'm not going to tell your story in this, but when you come home, not only is there old habits, but there's also old people, and there's old spots, and those, they have these old
And
mindsets,
behaviors, right?
old behaviors.
Hmm.
What would you tell to somebody, and maybe you can speak from your own experience, on how to break away from that stuff so you can create and maintain these boundaries?
That's right.
Well, thankfully for myself, which unfortunately is not the case with a lot of people, which is why we have the numbers with recidivism that we have.
Hmm.
I'm from Baltimore, well, the surrounding area, but I caught my charge in Baltimore, and so that's where I was, and that's where I lived. I no longer live there, right? I'm in Richmond now, and so that was my quick save. I didn't have to go back. So I removed myself immediately from the people, places, and things. One thing that I do, speak to people about is your people, places, and things, which are very important. Those are the things that affect your relapses and your recidivism. So if you're able to escape your people, places, and things, then that is a big solve for a lot of your problems. But for those who have to, they may be from Creighton Court, right? And when they come home from prison after doing 8 years, they're released back to grandma house in Creighton Court. So it's like, how do I manage this? What do I do? Because now I'm being planted right back in the middle of the projects with the
Yes.
same people, places, and things, right? So then, and I'm speaking from not my situation, because like I said, not only did I come from, my mother has a PhD. Unfortunately, my father is addicted to crack cocaine, but my mother was able to raise us and show us something different. She was also able to provide a different life for us. So fortunately, I didn't have to go to that. But there are individuals who that is their reality, right? And so it's very important that when you have to come home and be implanted back into situations like that, you have to surround yourself with a whole different network of people, places, and things, right? That's when the organizations are important, where you are doing IOP programs and you are networking with agencies that help individuals who are re-entering society. And now you're going to school to find you a skill set, or you're going back to the community college to get you an education. You have to fully immerse yourself into doing positive things and not hang back around those people that you used to hang with. And it's much easier said than done, but you have to have it in your mind and in your head that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to relapse back into those old behaviors.
Yeah.
Re-entry looks very much so like recovery. And so it's very important that you change those people, places, and things. For a lot of people, it's not that easy, but you got to have it in your head that this is what I want to do. I want to do something different, because the opportunity is there. The options
Right.
are out there to do
Right.
different things.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Tiff, we got somebody in the chat, Annabelle Jenkins. She has a question for you. She says this: Hold on, who was Annabelle?
Miss Indri. So I'm laughing.
So here's her question. It's kind of crazy. But she wants to know this: how did you get to the point where you were not only able to speak openly about your journey, but you're being vulnerable about it? So there's a lot there. Your story, while it's your experience, is unique to you. There's hundreds of thousands of people who came home just like you. They may feel just like you, but they're not open like you. Yeah. How were you able to get to the point where you could share your experience and share to people of how to overcome it? Did it take any certain type of motivation, any work? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, for myself personally, it's never really been a struggle for me to be open. And it's crazy that that question is asked because I don't tell people my story immediately when I meet them, but I don't have no problem telling you, oh, I've been to prison. Yeah. You know, and for a lot of people, you know, I tell people all the time, don't let these folks shame you out of your testimony, right? I know that, and I'm gonna speak for my mama, and hopefully this won't get to her and she won't kill me. For a long time, my mother was ashamed of what happened to me and where I went. And so no one, and it's so funny because my mother's colleagues, like one of her colleagues, her son was murdered. Then somebody else's child went to prison, but they never talked about it. No one ever shared their story with each other. They were never able to utilize one another for emotional support because there was so much shame around what we were experiencing that they had to suffer in silence and suffer alone. And so it took a while of me coaching my mother and talking to her and telling her how important it is for me to not only share my story with those people that I encounter, but also it's okay for people at her school to know what I went through, because guess what? That's my testimony. And that's what made me into the woman that I am today. And it took a while for her, now I go on Virginia State's campus and I move around, but she wasn't that comfortable at first for me to do that. So that took a lot, but people will shame you out of your testimony. So I can't speak for how it became a thing, because it's always been a thing for me. I've always been able to be really open and really transparent. But for some people, it's difficult, and people will shame you out of your testimony. And guess what they're doing? They're robbing you of the opportunity to possibly reach back and help somebody else. So I don't know if that gives you a little enlightenment.
That was great. That was great. Shaming. Stop letting people shame you out your testimony. Terrence, that's a sermon by itself.
That is.
Shaming you out your testimony.
As they say, that'll preach.
Listen.
Because that's true, though. That's
very true. Because people will, go ahead, Terrence.
You go ahead.
People will be so quickly to judge you, right? Mm-hmm. They don't understand in that judgment, there's definitely a testimony. There's definitely shackles that can be broken. But if they allow you to think that you should not share what you're going through or what you've been through, you are stuck in a bondage and you're not able to be free. But just think about it. If you just start talking about what you've been through, how many other people that's going to say, you know what, that was my story too. And now you're building some type of community where you can help each other. And now you don't just involve, like we just talked about the Creighton court, got to go back to that grandmother once they're getting discharged from the prison. If I start talking about it, I can build my own community. Right. That we can now help each other, teach one, help, and we can evolve together. So, that's shame to my testimony.
Yeah, I mean, people when they do that, they're typically speaking out of their own insecurity about the situation. Yeah. Tiff, your mom was, and we've all got insecurity, so this is not pointing anybody out, but your mom might have been insecure at the time of her being in this prestigious position and having a daughter who's had this experience. There's an insecurity there. There may be a father who, did everything that he could to raise his kids, and one of the kids got involved in something and
killed another child.
Now they're upset that they had to go through the time of, being without their child, and now they're shaming them because they've got an insecurity. And if you've ever been on the side of doing that, what it is you probably haven't dealt with your own insecurity about the issue. And while that shouldn't necessarily be ignored, you can't allow your insecurity to be placed on somebody else, because that person's got a job to do. When Tiffany came home, she had a job to do, and her job was to now help men and women not make the mistakes that she made, and then get people to help people with the support that they need to continue to have fruitful lives. Not to be so sad that she actually had to do that time. That's over. That's in the past. So,
Right.
we have to do, and this is to the community, because I know we can all say, they're returning home, but they are returning home to what
Us.
we create. They're returning home
Correct.
to us. And if we are not looking at them as God looks at us, as people who got another chance,
Right.
we're going to be judgmental, we're going to be hard-hearted, and everybody's going to be unproductive. Those persons who have a story, they're going to be frustrated, and none of this works. So
And not just none of it works. Everybody's going back to jail because guess what? I felt like I was part of that community. I felt like they cared while I did my time. And and it's so funny, Tiff, because Tiffany I will debate. I get on the phone with some folks because I need to understand, we're going to change laws, make sure that everybody understands how these laws be effective. And so one of the things I had to have a conversation, like, she did her time. I need to know why she's not, able to work and have a free life, right?
Right.
And it took me to have those courageous conversations with those in authority, in government or whatever, have to make those decisions. Say, you know what, Miss Darden, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. So what I'm saying is, don't let one no stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let one person putting their nose down at you stop you. Find yourself a peer recovery specialist, a mental health specialist, someone that's not just going to talk the talk, but walk the walk with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not fair that you now suffer in silence.
Right.
That's
And
not fair.
for those in authority who are listening, it might be time to take a look at what the barrier crimes really are.
What are they
Some of
really?
these barrier crimes really have nothing to do with a person's ability to help somebody else. And you got stuff on the books that it seems to really try to displace some people and get some people out of where they need to be, where they can be most effective. So if you're listening and you can make a change, you need
Let's
to think.
make the change. January coming. So listen, everybody going back.
Yeah.
And we're going to review policies. And I think it's so important that nobody can tell me the experience besides someone who went through the experience.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
They can come out and try to help and show somebody like, listen, yeah, we did it wrong. So now let's figure out how to do it right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe we do it better together. And I say that all the time. Teach one, help one.
Yep.
How are you? Your experience, Tiff, it's going to teach so many other people that it's okay to make the mistake, but it's not okay to stay in that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely life for them to thrive outside of their situation.
Absolutely.
Yes, if
Absolutely.
Hey, Tiff,
Absolutely. And especially,
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Tiff.
I was going to say, especially with what I went through recently, now I know that no that I had heard for so long is not a thing. But and it's crazy too that the opportunity to correct that barrier crime, it's not like public knowledge. It's not out there like, hey, okay, you went to prison for this, but this is what you can do as your next step to correct that and be able to work in the field. It's almost like you have to dig for it. And people shouldn't have to, and you shouldn't have to. But hey, we're speaking about.
and I can agree with that. But I guess sometimes, how bad do you want it? Right? That's how I
Right.
look at certain things. How bad did you want it? Right? And because you wanted it bad, you didn't stop. Right? And when
Right.
you see someone, and this is for all of you all, when you have someone that you look up to that believe in you, they're going to make sure that while you may had a no in the beginning, that they're going to get you to their yes with everything they got in them, because they're not going to accept a no. Me, I don't accept no. Not when I know that there's a possibility of a whole yes. And I believe God can do anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything. And so I think sometimes we can't just expect them to give it to us, because when have they given us anything? Let's just be transparent.
Or when has anybody ever given anybody anything?
Exactly, right? So we just have to be, if it's something you want, don't stop until you get it. I remember I read an article that it says somebody went for a business loan, and they went to 99 banks. He didn't stop until he got his one yes.
Yeah.
It took 100 times before he got that one. Say yes, you approved.
Oh yeah.
Because they saw the consistency. They saw he didn't give up. They saw that he was serious. They saw he was committed, right? And sometimes that's all you gotta do. Start showing how bad you want it.
Yeah.
And eventually, your no will be your yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they tell you, and you trying out for. I'm learning this with my daughters now. You know, in the entertainment industry, you're gonna hear 100 no's
before you hear
but
your
that,
one.
but that one yes might set you good for the next 20 years. So
Yeah,
you got to
that's
keep
true.
on going. You got to keep on going.
True.
Tiff, let me ask you this, because you said something earlier in the interview about learning how to deal with people. I want to get practical in that for a second, because that's a real thing. You know,
Very real thing.
so again, I have heard on the men's side that particularly at the federal level, being respectful of someone's space, being polite is a skill that is needed in prison. You can't just bump into somebody and not say excuse me and keep walking down the hall in prison. But when you're free, you flip people off when you're driving and doing all that type of stuff. Talk about how you were able to deal with people, and then more specifically, how were you able to deal with setbacks where a family or friends might have been in the way? How were you able to deal with that?
Well, I wasn't able to deal with it in the beginning. That's why I had so much emotional instability, because I would become so angry and incensed with maybe things that were said or people's attitudes or their behaviors, that it would either cause me to shut down or it would cause me to have emotional reactions that were negative towards other people. And so it just got to a place where, like I said, I had to really put those coping strategies in place and really learn gain some tools to learn to manage my emotions. Because I mean, people were out here really just getting the best of me, whether it be somebody at the fast food window, or it be my mama, or it be my son's dad, or it's just, you know, I was not managing my emotions well. So, you know, once I learned to be still, be calm and be still,
Yeah.
right, and listen more to hear what's going on instead of to react. I learned some patience, and I also learned to kind of look at people like, oh, it ain't me, it's her, or it's him, right? So you know, because sometimes you have to recognize that it ain't always you. You know, I hear a lot that people are like, oh, you got to take some accountability, but sometimes you just got to know that it ain't always you, right? So you have to be able to look at people and say, hey, this is bigger than me.
Yeah.
And kind of deal with things like that and move forward from it based off of that.
Yeah, the accountability that a person would take in that is just moving away from that situation. If you know it's not you, you're like, you know what? I ain't gonna be around this. I'm out. You know, I'm not gonna take it like that. I'm not even gonna deal with it. Waco had a question, I think, that kind of relates to this. Who do you lean on for support and accountability now, so you don't go back? Is that a thing that, you know, I still got a support system that helps me not mentally go back to some of the things that got me in the situation?
Well, I do have a close family member that I'm able to vent to about other family members, which is very important to me. She is very level-headed. She can be someone who's in a space where she doesn't really lean to either side. Very, very neutral, very neutral. And so I do speak to her a lot. And then I have other individuals who have kind of come through the same channels that I have, those who have had to navigate reentry that I may speak to as well. I think that's very important too, that I have individuals who have similar experiences, because of course, like, I can't go to someone who's never been through it and have a full-blown conversation and really get that feedback that I need. And so I just have different people in different areas that I'm able to vent to and share my experiences with.
Is that how because I heard you say reentry and recovery have a lot of similarities. Is that how you're able to be able to pour into both fields because of that experience and knowing what it takes to, on the reentry side to stay sober, stay clean, and I mean on the recovery side to stay sober, stay clean, and on the reentry side, stay away from the poor influences that might kind of steer you in the wrong direction. Is that how you're able to do that?
Well, I think that the two are so similar and so parallel, right? That they do pretty much the process of being consistent in both. It looks the same, right? It looks like going back to those people, places, and things, and just kind of, surrounding yourself with those healthy individuals on both sides, right? Because I've seen both sides. I've been a part of both sides. Not only am I a woman who is formerly incarcerated, but I'm also a woman in long-term recovery. I had some substance use issues in the past that I've been able to work through, and so it's having those networks of people that you can lean on for support. That's very important on both sides. And so, yes.
That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
So what would you tell someone? What are some things that you would tell someone who's going through this right now? Matter of fact, let's break this down this way. What would you tell someone that's 30 days away from their date? If you could talk to them, what would be some advice you would give that person that is going to be coming home soon?
Or that family member, so they can tell that person that's coming home soon.
Well, I could say for the family member, my suggestion would be for them, because family can be very intrusive, right? And I'm not going to say like family needs to mind their business, but you got to kind of let them do what they're going to do. But I would have to say for the person, maybe for the family member, let's just be supportive and be there to get some things moving. If they need you to, if you can send them the application for them to get their Social Security card and then they mail it back out to you, can you please drop that off or mail it off and have that done? A lot of places that you come through, fortunately, our system has it where as though people who come home will go to a halfway house where they may help you to get your food stamps. There are not a lot of resources as far as housing is concerned. So that's kind of strained at this time. But, you used to be able to come and they would help you find a place to stay, help you get your food stamps, help you to find some employment so that you could at least have that kind of locked in before you actually make a full comeback to the streets. But a suggestion that I would have for an individual who is re-entering is to try to, whatever you need and your family is able to provide, I would ask them to kind of get the ball rolling with that. Like I said, with Social Security cards, birth certificates, and things as such. And I think also it's important for you to have like a soft re-entry plan. Some things that you can formulate in your mind about, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do, and have those things written out so that when you come home, you're not a ball of confusion, right? Because when you come home, like life hits you really hard. Those responsibilities that you didn't have when you were in prison, they're there now. They're real. For a lot of individuals, they're coming home. They're coming back to children that they were responsible for, that they didn't have that responsibility when they were incarcerated. And so, those things are there. Or you may have an ailing grandparent or something, and you may be going into their home, and then that situation may become overwhelming for you. And so now that, because the reality of that is so real, you're not able to focus on all of those dreams and all those things that you were thinking about when you were incarcerated. So to have those things written out, I tell people all the time that journaling is very important, whether it be journaling your feelings or journaling some of your thoughts. It's very important to have things written down. Kind of like, when we have safety plans and aftercare plans, those things are very important. So I would just suggest that people kind of write things out, have something soft for before you come home so that you can implement those things once you're able to get back into society.
That's good. That's good.
Would you recommend that they link with the reentry program, Tiffany, once they get out? What are some services that you think they should definitely link to? But your top 3 services that you think will help them for that person that may have that family.
Well, and from what I've seen working in this field is that we have a lot of individuals who are coming home with active substance use disorders that they have gained. They've acquired a substance use disorder since they've been in prison, right? You have people that have gone in who've never tried a drug, but their way to cope with being incarcerated was to take advantage of a lot of the
Drug dealing
illegal
goes on.
drugs
Mhm.
that were moving around in the prison. And so now you have individuals who are coming home with opioid addictions. They're using just all kinds of drugs in the prison. And so if that is a thing for you, instead of because a lot of people are just really excited about coming home and being back a part of what they used to do. But those substance use disorders need to be addressed. So some type of inpatient drug treatment, IOP treatment, reentry programs are great. And there's so many of them out here. It may be something as small as group therapy, right? Therapy, counseling, just anything that you can get to support your journey of trying to remain free and also trying to remain sober or get sober.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to the person that has been home for about 30, 45 days, 60 days, and the frustration is starting to set in?
Right. And
Things aren't really rolling like it's supposed to. What would you say to that person?
So typically for that individual, for the person who's been home for 30 to 45 days and they're at a place of frustration, that's usually because they don't have a support system. They haven't developed a support system. They've come home. Like I said, maybe they went to granny house and they back upstairs in that back room that they always been in. Their only outlet is to go kind of peek out the door and look at the same people that they've been looking at probably for their entire life, who they may not be doing anything right. And so then you're frustrated because you're not doing anything. You don't have a job. You don't feel good. Those feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness have kind of creeped in because those thoughts that you had when you were in prison, you're not really doing anything to make them happen, and you're frustrated not only with a system that you feel like is not there to support you and that it's a barrier, but you're disappointed in yourself as well, and you really don't know how. A lot of people don't know how to get help, right? Because even though the prison will kind of make it seem like and say like, okay, we have some services here for you, but you're really just put out on the street. You have to be willing to put that work in and try to figure out ways to navigate and get this and get that so that you can really get the support that you need. So for that person who is 30 to 45 days out and they're really just frustrated and they're feeling hopeless, that's an indication right there that I need to get up off my butt and get the help that I need. And I need to reach out in some kind of way, because more than likely they're on probation. Yeah. So reach out to your probation officer to see if what resources are available in your area to provide some support. The things that you should be doing should be more than what your probation officer is requiring of you, such as a once a week or twice a week meeting and urinalysis. You know, sometimes we have to put the ball in our court and say, okay, if I want more, I'm going to have to do more.
Yeah.
I guess I had a question because you answered a lot of stuff and get ready to add something. Then it's like she just answered it. So I guess the question I had was as far as restructuring and getting back into the routine. Most people are coming into it, like you said, they don't, they haven't taken care of the kids, or they haven't, if they're in a marriage, they haven't been there with that significant other for a while, and now they're trying to get back into the routine. From a mental standpoint, what is that like, trying to get back into the normalcy of things?
And I think, and I'm gonna have to say I think, because that wasn't my personal experience. I didn't have any children that I had to come back home to. I didn't have a marriage that I had to reintegrate back into a family life. And so I just went to my mama house. And so she did her thing and I did my thing. But I knew what it was that I wanted. But for the individual who I think has had to navigate that, I can imagine that it's frustrating. I can imagine now, I have a family member who he was recently released from jail and he's come home. His one of his children has autism and the other two looks like they may have some borderline issues. And so there's a lot of screaming and crying in the home. And so that's really frustrating for him. And I think that has a lot to do with some of his personal feelings as well, and his emotional instability and his mental health issues. And so, I mean, I really can't speak on, I don't know, Dr. Wells. For the most part, I would just say for the individual who does have to kind of navigate that they need to reach out for help immediately and get that therapy and that psychiatric support that they may need to navigate that, because you don't want to, if you are the married individual and there are children in the home, and maybe now, I don't want to say prison is peaceful, but there's no children there, right? There's no crying there. There are no bills there. And so a lot of that frustration that you have from the street, it's not there. And so now you're coming back home and having to come into that, maybe you do need some extra tools in your toolbox to help you navigate that process.
Yeah, I mean, even parenting skills, because, if you hadn't had to deal with it and to put you in that type of situation, then other behaviors can show up, such as anger, such as, thinking, yelling and screaming, or you running back outside and you trying to do whatever you got to do to get away from it. And then you cause yourself to get back into a situation where now you're back in prison. So I do like that, Tiffany. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Ask for help, man. Ask for help.
Tiffany, break it down, make it real simple. Where can a person go to begin to build their support system? If they are like your situation, they got locked up in Maryland, but they got released in Richmond. They only know a couple people. How can they begin to build a support system when they're essentially out of town? And just like I said, really only know a few people. What would be some steps you would give that person?
Well, it's funny because when you go to see your probation officer, you encounter people and you meet people all the time, right? You just got to know how to weed in and weed out the good and the bad, right? Because you might meet a guy down at probation and he really trying to get his stuff together. That's a healthy friend right there, right? That's somebody that you could call and talk to and be like, hey, man, what you got going on? And he going to tell you like, man, listen, I got this new job here. I got this interview here, man. They hiring. There you go, right? So, and he plugging you in.
Like him? Why are you talking like him though? Why you sound just
like that's how it is. He
Sound
plugging
like
you in,
wrong.
right? And so then, you also got your probation officer. He or she may be so used to being in the routine of, she just see people, do the urine and send them out the door.
Hold them accountable to do their job.
Right. It's a matter of, he don't want to do nothing more. So I'm gonna do what I'm required to do.
Right.
But you might spin her on her heels and stop her in her tracks and you say, hey, Miss Johnson, do you know somewhere I can go where I can get some help for this or some resources for that? And she's like, oh, you want some help? Okay, let me give you this. I have all these resources available, right? So it's just a matter of opening up your mouth and actually really asking for that help and asking, hey, do you know of this or do you know of that? You meet people every day as you travel on your journey of reentry. I know that we have a community partner, Help Me Help You. There's OAR that you can reach out to them and they're there to help support you immediately with resources. So there's really no excuses. The help is there. It's all about if you're willing to take the steps to get it. And I don't care where you are. You in Baltimore, you in Richmond, you in Petersburg, the resources are there. All you got to do is reach out.
Right.
That's good. That's good. You said Help Me Help You and OAR. If you are in the Central Virginia or Virginia area, there's two resources right there that can help you start putting your life back on track so you can be productive. Tiffany, I appreciate your story. And I really appreciate your willingness to share. Like, what's her name? Annabelle Jenkins? Like, Annabelle Jenkins.
Annabelle Jenkins.
Girl,
boy.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation. It almost sounds like some shade because Anna, come on, we were trying to say, it sounds like a little bit of shade for real. You got to do a better name. Come with a better name. That. Yes. But yeah, Tiff, that's really good. You really dropped a lot of information, and I think the one takeaway that when we share this back out that I hope people get is, man, take control of your life. Take control of your life when you don't sit there and blame the world. And because it did happen. You had your part to play in it too, but it did happen. Some people got less time for what you got. Some people got more time for what you got, but you're here right now. You take it by the horns, take advantage of the freedom that you have, and go ahead and do the thing, man. Do it because you can do it. You're still a winner. You had a setback, but now you're back. Go ahead and take advantage and be a winner. Make yourself better. Continue to grow. Growing is a lifelong journey anyway.
Every day.
Anyway, so yeah, go ahead and do that. Don't quit. Do not give up at all.
Yeah. And I like how she said, don't allow your shame to stop your testimony.
Don't
Don't allow your shame to stop your testimony. Don't
Yeah.
allow your story not to be told. Because guess what? You are the author and finisher of your story. You can
That's right.
move the pages, you can erase it, and you can start all over again.
Start all over.
Always start.
Yeah.
Don't stop. And Tiffany, find that one person to talk to, y'all. There are people. We're here. We are here. If we don't have the answers, someone has an answer. We have
Yeah.
a wealth of resources. Set those boundaries.
Yep.
Stop allowing people to. I always tell my daughter, stop letting people jump you. You're not a battery. Stop letting people put jumper cables on you and boost you. You are not a battery.
Mhm.
Set those firm, healthy boundaries and learn how to deal with people. Stop taking everybody garbage.
Yeah.
Let them take their own garbage out so you can
That's
become
right.
you. So Tiffany, I really appreciate the humility and that you shared today. I appreciate you for the work that you do in our community. I
Thank you.
appreciate your boldness because there's some clients I'm like, girl, what we gonna do? Oh, I got her. I'm like, okay, because you can tell a story from a different lens than I can tell a story. So don't stop sharing your story. And I think I told you when I first met you outside under a tent. I'm waiting on the book and the podcast.
No.
It needs to be told. I told you probably 2 years ago.
Hey, Tiff, before
Yeah.
we go, I want you to talk about the importance of giving back
Yeah.
because you give back and you do it because you want to do it.
And I'm talking about wee hours in the morning, y'all.
Yeah. Why
People
is
call
that
her-
important for somebody like who's been
Yeah.
through what you've been through to give back? Why do you think that's important?
Giving back is gonna when you look back and you give back, it encourages you to keep pushing forward. That's how I look at my situation. That's how I navigate not only my my ability to stay free, but also my ability to stay clean is because I'm reaching back and I got people behind me that's looking up to me and they looking for me to be great. And so that keeps me pushing forward. So the more I give back, the more I reach back, the more it encourages me to keep going forward. So that's why giving back is so important. It's very, very important. You gotta drop some of those jewels that you learn along the way to those that are coming behind you. So
That's real good. That's real
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Again, thanks, Tiff, for
Thanks,
joining
Tiff.
us and sharing this. Thank you guys for checking this out.
thank you,
for
thank you,
comments
thank you.
and all
And
that.
I do want to say,
What?
there may be someone out there that's listening and they may need some help and they may need some encouragement, whether it be with re-entry or recovery. Reach out 789-1314, 804-789-1314. Ask for Tiff because I'm here. I'm here.
You hear? You hear?
I'm
Look,
here.
You hear that Baltimore there? Don't know what you're turning.
yeah.
She here. Y'all heard her right here. Tiffany, I'm here. Just show up. And she gonna help you show up.
Show up. And
Hey,
we're gonna
Tiffany.
show out.
Tiffany, say it, do what it do. Say it.
I'm not gonna do what it do.
There it is.
Listen.
There it is.
Hit
That's
that
what I-
number 2 and make it do what it do. Okay.
Oh God. Thank you so much, though.
Thank
Tiffany.
y'all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Look,
right.
Also, make sure you check us out at EY4PC.com so you can learn about all the other things that we do. Tiffany, like she said, she's a part of our team. So this is some of the things that we offer right now. So look, don't delay. You know somebody that needs help, you need help, man, go to that website, hit that phone number, give us a call so we can start having some conversations and get you the help that you need. Dr. Wells, man, you said one thing all day, so you got to close this out in prayer, brother.
IT in the
Hey,
background.
honestly, every time I was getting ready to ask her something, anything, it's like she answered it every single time. So I was like, I'm just going to engineer. But this was wonderful, and I think it's so important because when I think about what goes on here in Georgia, for a lot of the system, the way it's set up, and that whole story that happened almost a month ago, I always ask that same question over and over again. Where were these resources, these individuals, as those individuals are coming out? Because here in Georgia, we like to do what they call the dump. They get so many people out, 20, 30 people out with no resources and nothing, and then they bring in the other, and it's just a revolving door. And so eventually people just feel like they need to give up because they don't have access to a Tiffany or even mental health services. So they just go, hey, either if I do get out, I am going to go, like she said earlier, I'm hide in the room, or I'm just going to stay there. Because if I go back out there and try again, I'm just going to end up back there anyway. So it's good that EYPC, the Miss Tiffany's of the world are out there doing the work and just being that example. So
yeah, that's awesome. Dr. Wells, can you close us in prayer, brother? Engineer a prayer for us. How about that?
Yes, sir. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity again that you have brought another vessel, and as you have an entire word that you've built that is hurting and pain and people that have gone through some tough situations, but you also are one that redeems and restores. And we thank you for the opportunity to bring in individuals like Miss Tiffany and others that are out there that are doing the hard work, letting people know that you are a redeemer, you are a restorer, you are one that reveals and starts over again. And sometimes, God, you cause us to write stories where it seems like the middle part of the story is rough, but it's the ending that is able to give people hope. So we ask that you will continue to give us hope through individuals like Miss Tiffany and Mr. Terrence and Miss Darden and others that are out there doing the work and the labor, and let them know that their labor is not in vain. We ask this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
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 Redemption.
Redemption.
We got some words today, y'all.
You can bounce back. You can bounce back.
Tiffany is the bomb.
Tiffany, look, Waco said Tiffany can talk to me. He said that somewhere in the chat. I
Tiffany
think
talk to him all day, every day.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris, good job, Tiff.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tiff, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thanks for joining us as well. Make sure you're right back here next Thursday at 2 p.m. for Therapy Talk Thursdays with EYPC. And look, you should send us some things you might want us to talk about. Let's say there's a situation going on in your community and your family. Say, hey, I'd like for you guys to chop it up about that. Let us know. You can hit us on the chat right here. If you know us, hit us up on Facebook or on email. Go to ey4bc.com. You can send the email there. Let us know what things you want us to talk about, because we're here for you. We're not here for us. We could be doing other stuff right now. We're here for you. So let us know what you want, and then make sure you join us, share this video, and tell somebody they need to be here at 2 p.m. every Thursday so they can join the conversation. Thank you all. We love you. You can have a powerful day. Tiff, again, thank you so much. We will see y'all soon.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.